Coming up on our next episode of Digging Detroit, we take a look at the Nain Rouge, the legendary red dwarf who's haunted Detroit since Cadillac first tried settling on the banks of the Detroit River.
The Nain Rouge is not something you want to see in Detroit. The 1805 fire, somebody claimed they saw the Nain Rouge right before that.
How just a handful of Detroiters turned a small gathering in 2010 into a carnival parade with thousands celebrating Detroit's strength, pride, and sense of humor.
Neighborhood themed, talk about what's going on in their neighborhood, show some pride. Who would want to crash that party? And it's the Nain Rouge, and he comes in and he sort of starts ripping on people, and it's a drag when he shows up.
We'll visit one of the amazing shops where artists like Ralph Taylor are embracing this new spirit and encouraging neighborhoods from all over town to be creative, fun, and take to Cass Corridor on March 22nd in the 6th annual Marche de Nain Rouge.
And one of the things I would like Detroit to take serious of what we do in regards to the festive part of our lives, this could be a major attraction for Detroit.
All this on the next Digging Detroit.
I'm Tom Reed for Digging Detroit, and what you're seeing now is Cass Park. Behind me, you can see the imposing edifice of Detroit's Masonic Temple. On March 22nd of this year, the steps will be invaded by the red dwarf, the Nain Rouge, whose purpose is to come here and taunt Detroit's residents for all the bad things that have happened over the past year. But if you stick with us, we'll learn more about the myth of the Nain Rouge, and we'll learn how you can come out this spring on March 22nd and tell off the Nain Rouge and have him leave town.
Are there different groups represented here today?
Indian Village here.
Indian Village.
We're West Village.
West Village. See, West Village against Indian.
That's good. We wanted to do these workshops because, from the very beginning, we've been very interested in having Detroit represented and having Detroiters and people from everywhere really being creative. This is a parade where you are the parade and you bring, whatever it is that you have been thinking about working on.
Vince, Francis, can you give me a little bit of clue as to what the Marsh is all about?
Yeah, sure. The Marsh is an annual event. It's tied to the spring, so it's like a spring parade. It's kind of like Detroit's Mardi Gras meets Burning Man event, and it really is about Detroiters coming together in sort of creative costume, in something that they've been working on and thinking about. And every year, supposedly, the Nain Rouge makes an appearance. And the Nain Rouge goes back to Detroit's founding. It's been part of Detroit's history forever. And really, it's an opportunity for Detroiters to come together in a positive way on a Sunday afternoon and have an event where they can express creativity, express their love of Detroit, have fun. It's great for families. The Nain Rouge taunts them with all the bad things that have happened over the year. And in the end, so far at least, Detroiters have won out, and the Nain Rouge disappears for another year.
Part of the event here is to really bring the pride and drop the hammer on some of the. I'm glad Ferndale's here as well, but really what we have to do is we have to. There's some other floats out there that we've heard about. I get on Facebook and social media and start trash talking. I really am. If you got pride in what you're working on right now, let them know it.
Vince, you mentioned that the first year you guys did this, that there actually was the traditional running of the Nain Rouge out of the neighborhood. How has that changed now?
The message of the event now is one of inclusion. The Nain Rouge is the embodiment of everything that holds us back. It's a catharsis ceremony modeled after all kinds of festivals around the world. And basically, when a group of Detroiters get together to celebrate the city and pride in neighborhoods, we've got
what we're starting to call crews, modeled after New Orleans Mardi Gras, sort of second line parade. We've got crews in the neighborhoods that are building up floats, and some folks over here are doing their costumes that they're going to bring to the parade. Neighborhood themed, talk about what's going on in their neighborhood, show some pride. Who would want to crash that party? And it's the Nain Rouge, and he comes in and he sort of starts ripping on people, and it's a drag when he shows up. And, every once in a while he comes in and he challenges the group to come to Cass Park, and he'll reveal his master plan. And the thing is that if the positive feelings about the city are strong enough, his master plan can't materialize. And so we really hope that if he does show up, there's a big group of people that have a lot of good things and a lot of good feelings and come together and work together as one city to overwhelm him with positivity.
We may or may not have prizes or whatever. It's not really in the Nain Rouge's spirit to reward anyone for anything. He's probably going to hate it if it's really cool. But at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we keep pushing everybody else to bring their A game or better. So part of the whole trick is make sure that those folks from Midtown and Osborne and North End and wherever else we're getting floats from, they know that you're gonna what you're doing and that you're working with Ralph. I mean, really just a picture of folks in this room. I've seen a couple of the other maker labs where people are doing stuff. So there's a couple other places like this, but this is the master right here.
When this idea first came out, nobody had any idea what it was. Francis was the one that pitched it to me, and I was like, what are you talking about? But the city has, over time, been very responsive and great and accommodated and helped it grow. And I think that we wouldn't be here today coming back around for the sixth time if that hadn't been the case.
From the very beginning, from the very first year, we wanted it to be a sanctioned event. We wanted the police on board, we wanted the fire department on board, we wanted the city to give us a parade permit. So we've been working with the city actively every single year. Frankly, the city has been very eager to work with us and has been a great partner in all of this.
And the other thing about it too is that it's not just city government. It's sort of where there's Francis and I both grew up in the city, and we used to have more sort of communal events. And this is part of an effort to breathe some life back into something that a 14-year-old kid in a neighborhood in the city of Detroit can hopefully find one of these spaces, one of the maker spaces around the city, some of the stuff that's cropping up, or just pots and pans or whatever you do in your basement. Come up with a cool costume, get down with your friends to the event and have a good time. For commune with other Detroiters, express your weirdness, and laugh a little bit in a town that sometimes we take ourselves a little bit seriously.
And we're here at the wonderful Detroit Historical Museum. I'm speaking with Mr. Joel Stone here, and we're going to get some insights into the tradition of the Nain Rouge as it came to the New World. So, Joel, can you tell me a little bit about where this concept of the Nain Rouge came from?
The Nain Rouge is traceable basically to the Normandy area of France. It was a part of the Luton family of fairies. Friendly goblins. They were kind of a shapeshifter thing. That could fly, could go underground, could be small, could be large, could disappear. That kind of fun thing that fairies get to do. And there are traditions like this in the Northlands and the Germanic countries. The Gallic and Celtic traditions have it, and the Native American traditions have it too. The interesting part about the Detroit tradition is that the Nain Rouge is not something you want to see in Detroit.
No, I was always taught it showed up before something bad happened. It was the harbinger of doom.
Of evil, ice storms or fires. The 1805 fire, somebody claimed they saw the Nain Rouge right before that. So it's always kind of a bad thing, whereas in Europe, in the European tradition, it was a friendly, like a house elf type tradition and a gnome type thing. It was bad. It was kind of playful. and as long as you were playful with it, life was good. You know, it might take your horse out for a midnight ride, but when it brought the horse back, the saddle would be fixed.
Wow, thank you.
You know, that kind of fun stuff. Although if you made fun of the Rouge, if you made fun of the dwarf or attacked the dwarf, as Cadillac is reported to, he turned violent. You know, he would use his magical powers. There was a story in Normandy of some kids who started throwing stones at the Nain Rouge, and he countered by just pelting with showers of stones to the point where they, you know, disappeared inside the hull of a ship. And you know, the pelting stones came for an hour, and then they stopped. And when the kids stuck their head out, there wasn't a stone to be found. You know, so you don't want to mess with the Nain Rouge.
What gauge rod is that?
That's half inch.
Half inch. Okay. Great. Yeah, because that, you know, I like how, you know, it just creates a big visual in the sky.
But why you don't do a dummy of what you would like, the length and everything, and then I could help you further with it?
Okay. Great.
Vince, how did you get involved with Mr. Taylor here?
So this is the crazy thing, right? Is that we had initially, you know, we started doing this thing. We didn't know what we were doing, and it was totally random. And the amazing and great thing about Detroit is that at some point you sort of flail around for a bit, and then you connect with a guy that's been doing this kind of parade for 40 years, and he comes in and he was very gracious at first, you know, quietly looking at us flailing around and offering suggestions when he could, you know, when he felt we needed them, but eased us really into, I think, a much better, more professional perspective. Now, I'm not going to say, I'm sure right now Ralph's not going to take complete credit for what's happening at the parade, because his parades are actually much more organized. But he's been a huge inspiration to us. And the fact is that, like, you know, we're every year he kind of gets us a little more organized and a little better. We meet more often. We figure out how to do it, and it's been great to be able to work with him. And also just incredible to have this happening in Detroit, not know about it when we started doing what we were doing, and then have that come together. It's pretty amazing.
Ralph, can you tell me a little about what do you do here in this workshop? Why does this workshop exist?
Okay, well, it's part of my culture. It's part of my growing up. As a young man, I always loved shapes, colors. I admired the older guys who doing costuming and would take nothing and make a beautiful costume out of it. So as a kid, I just fell in love with being creative. I came from a background with very skillful uncles, and my father was very skillful, so I always wanted to be, you know,
Ringmaster.
basically. Not a ringmaster. I don't do circus. But, you know, I always want to be part of something festive. And that is how we actually meet. I would walk along the side of their parade for a couple of years, and I always said, I want to be part of the parade. And then one day, Francis stopped in and said, hey, you know, we heard about you and we want you to be on our team. Detroit is a beautiful base for artists. And a lot of young people like their energy regards to art. So when we put the word out there that we want the communities to be involved in a parade, we want them to bring their own talent to the parade, we got a lot of feedback. And I'm here to offer my support to Vince and Francis for what they started, because I had loved it too.
Was it really ever celebrated? Was there a ceremony that happened, or is this something that's coming new to Detroit?
I think the revival of the Nain Rouge tradition is recent, with at least within the past 20 or 30, 40 years. I mean, I grew up knowing about the Nain Rouge, but nobody I knew had ever seen it.
Right.
Or had worried about it, frankly.
And that's how I grew up as well.
Yeah, so I think it might have played in the undercurrents during the French period and then slowly disappeared out of our traditions. And now we've got a wonderful new tradition that's come up. It's a different Nain Rouge we're talking about. It's an evil Nain Rouge, a tall Nain Rouge with blood red eyes and a blood red face and ugly fur. This is the not nice Nain Rouge, but in Detroit we're used to tough ones.
We are.
So
That's the nature of Detroit.
we're getting a lot of younger people that are coming in and embracing some of these traditions, and just frankly, they're looking for fun things to do. And what a great idea! Those guys must have a blast putting this together.
They seem like they do.
The costumes that come to the event, the spirit that comes with that event, it's kind of it very is much a Mardi Gras type feeling. But I think it's happened in other ways too. I think the people who have been attending the St. Patrick's Day parade over the years, years ago the parade was moderately attended and it was mostly Irish folks. Over the past 5 or 8 years, that has become a huge party, but it just reflects the coming together of all the folks that are in Detroit looking for a darn fun thing to do, and we've got a lot of darn fun things to do. I think the Nain Rouge party is just perhaps a little on the dark side, which, Detroit's got a dark sense of humor and always has been enjoying that, and I think this is just people enjoying kind of the dark side of the sense of humor we have.
It's great, chaotic, cathartic fun. It's 3 hours long, and I think it always feels like so much work to get to, and then it lasts. It's over like that. Yeah. So it's. I mean, like
wedding, I guess, every year.
It's a great, but it's a great time, and we encourage everybody to come down and do something interesting and weird and be part of it.
One of the things I would like to see, and one of the things I would like Detroit to take serious of what we do in regards to the festive part of our lives, this could be a major attraction for Detroit.
Well, thanks for joining us for this episode of Digging Detroit, and we invite you to come down on March 22nd, help fill Cass Park, and tell the Nain Rouge where to go.